I'm keen to see how Tilted Boys plays into the laning phase here. Again, there's some aggression that can come out. I think Ush's lane is going to be key. If you can slow down Sammy, it's going to feel pretty good for you. We've seen LCs, again, take this early timing for the Blade Mail and Blink and just dominate a game. Not as easy to do that up against the Drow. But again, if you can still get that done somehow for Ush, that is going to be the tempo for your game. You know, just Blink Duel, get these pickoffs, play the pickoff game, really, for Tilted Boys, as that is where their lineup shines in comparison to Wildcard, where their wombo combo team fights. You've got to kind of get that done from the laning phase, early mid-game, and that momentum is going to have to carry through. Because if not, when it comes down to the later point in the game, sure, you're Morphling scales here, but you're dealing with Phoenix Egg, you're dealing with RP, you're dealing with all of that on top with an Invoker. This game does not get easier for the side of Tilted Boys as the game goes on, even though you have the Morphling that scales.
Well, Ash is going to move in here. With the overwhelming mods, he's feeling confident enough to just run in for the boundary rune and does manage to pick it up. He's going to be a 2-for-2 anyway, as though Sammy does not pick up the boundary rune for his team. We'll let his position 5 do that work, as I find that kind of hilarious from Sammy. You know, just he's playing the classic carry role, just can't do anything a support would do. Just leave it be for Sunlight to pick up. Speaking of Skyward here, being chased down just a little bit by Sammy, but gets a fair bit of damage off onto the Drow Ranger before we do start the laning phase. And while we're here, we'll start off with the top lane. You're going to have Ush against Skyward. They're up against Sunlight and Sammy. What do you think about this top lane, John? LC Techie seems like a pretty annoying lane to have to lane against here for Sammy Boy.
It is. I mean, again, it's a little bit better than having your Magnus safe lane. I think a Magnus safe lane here just gets run down. The Drow has some spacing to play with, and you can play with your Phoenix pretty nicely. It does take a few levels for you to really hit your stride, although Sunlight's doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, Skyward got very excited there, just trying to go for the... I don't even know if he expected to get the kill onto Sammy Boy, but he got a hell of a lot of damage off. But problem is, he kind of just feeds first blood away to Sunlight.
Yeah, it's a big concern. I was just going to say, the levels matter here for the side of Wildcard, especially with a Phoenix support. You hit your level 2 early now, Sammy, halfway to level 2, but once you have the Frost Hours up, this lane becomes a lot more oppressive. From the side of Wildcard, you can start to push back up against that Techies, up against the LC. And again, this lane is not as straightforward for the side of Tilted Boys. Techies does enable a lot of off lanes, but again, just having a range advantage for the side of Wildcard ensures that you're not going to be totally annoyed by overwhelming odds, and you have enough room here for Sammy to just farm as he pleases.
What about that mid lane? I mean, RCY against Volodka is going to be happening here, and so far, Volodka's having a pretty good time. I fully expect Volodka to win the CS war at the very least here with the Invoker, because you know, it is Invoker and he is a kind of hero that seems to struggle getting CS these days. For now, it's a pretty even affair between these two. It's RCY. You know, on the Invoker, like again, this man is a bit of a specialist, so don't be too surprised if we see some kill attempts here from the man. And he does go Quas Exhort build, so keeping it with the more aggressive build, which is what you love to see.
Yeah, should be able to maybe look for some Sunstrike plays as well if it starts to present itself here on the side of Wildcard. Until the Tornado is up, Volodka should be pretty free to do what he wants, as we see Flea take down Door now, down bot. Good little snipe coming out there.
Absolutely. That bottom lane monster Flea versus Ferte, and of course Door. Door already going down on the Marauder. And so far, like, Ferte is having a decent old time in the Morph lane. I don't think he'll be too afraid for his life here as the Morph against the Magnus Rubik, because they are going to try and make a bit of a play onto the Mag. He's taken the Lotus away from Monster. But then this lane, it feels like Monster should be just fine farming up, and Ferte should be just fine himself. I think at the very least, if you are Tilted Boys, you really shouldn't be too concerned about Ferte dying. I mean, unless he misplays the Morphling, but because as long as he presses that Strength Morph button, he should be just fine.
Yeah, he shouldn't be under any threat, especially as his level 3 comes out. He should be pretty stable in this lane. Does opt for the level 2 Adaptive Strike, probably just to secure range creep and get some good harass out. I think this is a lot more passive than you probably want for Tilted Boys up top. They are trying to get aggressive once more.
It doesn't really work out. I mean, Sammy and Sunlight going to be just fine. Thing is, Ash is finding a hell of a lot of CS, and it's just classic LC right now. Like, it's very hard to harass an LCR because it just has so much sustain with Moment of Courage, and of course then you're going to get 1 point and press the attack, so you have another heal available for yourself if you need it. Even with the Drow and the Phoenix, it feels like you don't really take any damage as the LC. You know, you just Moment of Courage procs are more than enough to keep you going.
Yeah, you can just sustain through the harass, apply some decent harass down to the side of Wildcard if they manage to get a little bit too close. Sunlight, this lane is really reliant on him just landing Fire Spirits, because Ush isn't going for early levels and press the attack, so you don't have to worry about the Dispel, the magic damage, the attack slow is always going to feel good for the Phoenix here. Doing a great job of shoving Skyward away every single time, though.
Yeah, the Phoenix proving to be quite strong against this hero, and I guess it's kind of the thing with Phoenix, right? Because like Fire Spirits will make it literally impossible for you to get the attack animation off as a techie. So, especially at level 2, like the attack slow is just so much higher. And speaking of Skyward, he shows up again. That might just be a kill here on Skyward as the Icarus dive is going to allow that to happen. Ush trying his best to secure a bit of a trade here on Sunlight, but this is going to take a lot of time. And Sunlight, he's just fine. Sammy will make sure he is slowed up by the Frost Arrows. And sadly for Ush, nothing he could do to find a good trade for himself.
Yeah, just not able to run down. Again, a little bit harder for the LC in this lane to get the chase if they play their distance right on the side of Wildcard. At least he does have the value point and press the attack. So there's a Dispel on hand. A good start for Wildcard already. 0-3, less than 1k lead. You're finding maybe a little bit more CS out from the side of TiltedBoys despite these kills coming out for Wildcard. But those kills still rack up. And the early game is just really important. And every lane still somewhat even in terms of CS. You are starting to see RCY pull ahead on the Invoker. And oh,
You have Wildcard. Might at least be able to try and take out Flea on the Rubik. The power shot was no mana for it. No mana, no real play here for the Wind Rain to try and secure the kill onto Flea, and he's going to be just fine to back off. Though top lane, Sunlight now finding himself in danger, but is actually going to be able to walk away. Ush not feeling confident, continuing to try and chase down the Phoenix when he was already dropping a little bit too low. He still had Sammy around as Wildcard. In the end, does apparently find Flea. Not sure how exactly that happened, but Flea does end up going down mid.
managed to snipe him out. They also invade the triangle just a bit, check out the stacks. Dor has the information for his team. No Ancients, only the large camp. They could invade it early on if they feel like it. Take away some of that catch-up gold, and they time it around the 7-minute mark. Arrow doesn't connect, so Flea should just find his Wisdom Rune. Skyward finds the same for their team here. Again, not too much going on despite some of those pickoffs up top. A lot harder to find that now with Ush having that value point and press the attack. And right now you're really just waiting for levels to come in. Like, once you have certain levels up, it should feel a lot easier, especially for the supports, to start making these rotations happen. We've been seeing quite a fair bit more rotations out from TiltedBoys. Out, Wildcard just maintaining their own lanes just a bit. We'll see as the 8-minute power grid starts to come out.
It's still passive in pretty much every lane right now. Both sides just taking it easy. A lot of farm happening here from Ferte on the Morph lane, 47-4, having a pretty damn good time. As top lane, Sunlight gonna find himself in danger now. He's gonna try for the Icarus dive away, but was a bit late. Skyward does get that final hit off with a right click and does secure the kill. Meanwhile, mid lane, RCY is gone. Volodka able to get that kill himself as Flea does trade. But now Skyward's moving in, looking for a sticky bomb, but cannot land it. There's a pretty big kill onto RCY. Props to Volodka. Didn't even have Shackle available, just ran in with the focus fire and secured the kill.
Yeah, just taking care of that Invoker before it becomes a massive issue. The Midas is up, though, for RCY, so he's not going to be hurting too much. Maybe, you're kind of annoyed. It's off cooldown when you die, but be able to head back in, get some usage, starts to rack up the EXP. Inside of Wildcard, those losses are a little bit bigger. Again, you're starting to give a little bit more towards TiltedBoys. I think Volodka, again, on his mid lane, has been doing a lot better than you'd expect for the Wind Ranger versus the Invoker. RCY is going to need a little bit of room to just kind of ramp into this point where the Invoker can just handle that hero, get the XP going. You are still farming pretty well on every core. Like, a Monster pretty much has a free land with a Vanguard. Oh, RP's down.
Ferte is going to drop Monster, setting up for a very important kill there onto the Morphling. And well, sadly for Ferte, like, you get caught out with the Rogue RP like that from Monster. You're just not ready with the Strength Morph, and makes it very easy to secure the kill with Sunstrike coming in from RCY. I believe the Morphling was on maximum of 124 HP at the time, so not the best. As Volodka now mid lane, going to get caught by the lift of Flea, and he has no gameplay to try and get out of that. Sunlight able to secure that kill on the Phoenix is now top lane. Sammy's being chased out. Sammy still going for a bit of a run. A nice three-man gust, and now the team is incoming. They can't secure the kill in time. Ash is trying his absolute best to get there. Skyward is already down. Ash so close for the duel attempt, still trying to reach him. Sammy trying to duke this one out the best he can. The extra movement speed, but it's not going to be enough. Ash cannot make it. Sammy proving to just be fast enough. And Flea will walk away with a double kill on the Ruby.
Now that is huge. Good punishment coming out there from the side of Wildcard. Getting that kill mid, rotating in to help their Drow. Just overcommittal from the side of TiltedBoys, diving so far to try to pin down this Drow. They just don't have the mobility to catch her out. You don't have a hero that just instantly jumps on top. You do have the Morphling, but that's way down the line. No way you'd see Fer to join in anytime soon on these engagements. And now, off the back of those kills, you've got level 6s up early on your supports for Wildcard. Supernova ready to go on Sunlight. We've already seen the stolen spells of Flea with a power shot having a lot of impact. The team fight is ready if they did want to go for it. Maybe, you know, not having the RP hurts a little bit more, but just, again, threat of Supernova with no direct right-click heroes from TiltedBoys that can take care of it, at least from the supports. It feels it can be a little bit rough to try to focus that target down in some of these more scattered fights early on.
Yeah. Things looking pretty damn good right now for Wildcard. 2k advantage their way. Only person really suffering quite a bit is the Drow Ranger at the moment. Sammy has a bit of catching up to do, but it is Drow Ranger. Once you hit the jungle, you tend to escalate quite quickly. That's exactly what he will start doing. At least for TiltedBoys. Ferte is having a really good time on the Morphling as well. Not too far behind anyone on the side of Wildcard. It's bottom lane. It's going to run into Monster here in the mag. RP immediately committed again. This time he got the strength morph off though, so they're not going to be able to get the kill. And now Ush is incoming with Skyward and Door. They were trying to set up some bait for Monster, and the bait looks like it's going to pay off. They do commit the duel now. There is no way for Monster to survive. And now even the egg being committed here from Sunlight to try and keep him safe. But it was already too late. So you get a 2 for nothing special here for TiltedBoys. So we'll even get away with a bit of duel damage.
Just a bit of overcommittal this time from Wildcard. Going for that same RP play, not being able to get the burst damage off. And no real bailout coming out there for Monster. Nice set of pickups for the side of TiltedBoys to find, as they did clump up all of their heroes down bot for that. There's a lot of room now that they have created for Sammy with these 2 heroes. So it's a trade-off, right? You're letting your Drow farm safely up top. You're dragging all these heroes down bot, but you make some sacrifices on your mag to get that done. Have to be a bit cautious about bleeding out. Again, the LC. With a blade mail up, Ush can start to hold his own in the middle of these fights. And it can start to get scary once that blink starts to become a reality here for TiltedBoys. The LC. It is going to be your jump to catch out something like the Drow in the back line. And if they can target Sammy with that blink up and running on Ush, things get scary for the side of Wildcard. It's not as straightforward yet for these team fights to break out their way, especially since they're not clumping up. It's still fairly early on for a big 5v5, but that's where this team shines for Wildcard. And while they're split up, they have to play a little bit more cautiously.
Double damage.
They just need to buy so much more time here for this Drow Ranger. Again, like, Sammy's just nowhere near the point where he can really get involved. And you see the stacks Ferte's taken right now. It's Morphling about to become the highest net worth hero on the board in this game one. He's a big boy. Gonna have the match style on the way very, very soon. It's making it pretty hard to lock this guy down throughout the team fight. So Ferte kind of being the saving grace here for the side of TiltedBoys. Just all the farm being placed on the Morphling. I think Wildcard will be more than happy to take their time with this game as well. I think no rush here. Like, you know, the Drow's nowhere near at the point where you feel like you can really start to push an advantage. So Sammy gonna have to take a lot of time to try and get that farm going for himself. And sadly, it's just so much slower compared to the Morphling at the moment. And I don't think it's gonna get any faster here for old Sammy boy. He's just gotta continue doing it the old-fashioned way. So TiltedBoys, like, if they knew how close the game was, I think they would try to press their advantage now. But they are sitting back and taking their own time as well, which I suppose is fair enough, right? Like, you still want to give time to your Morphling, because perhaps the way you view it is the Morphling should be able to outscale the Drow anyway. It can certainly feel the way. This hero is not to be underestimated, especially once you get the Aghanim Scepter up. A lot of stats to be stolen, especially from this Drow if you do manage to get her. Even obviously the Magnus, very, very good morph target as well. So I suppose late game scaling is also kind of on the side of TiltedBoys.
Arguably, I'd say the team fight of Wildcard is still a concern. You can't count out RP plus, say, a Cataclysm down the line from RCY if he goes for the Yags. And you've got a lot of buffs for the Drow. Even though directly court it's not the best, you've got Alacrity plus Empower for a Drow. So it's not a straightforward game for TiltedBoys to take into the late game. You have to really be somewhat cautious about the fights you take. You always have to play the pick-off game for the most part here on TiltedBoys. They will go for a smoke out though, with Dor and Volodka.
That they will. Down towards the bottom lane they go, where Monster is probably going to get caught out here. What of Atos to lock him down. Volodka with the follow-up shackle and the arrow even connecting. And now the duel, just to make sure there will be no skewer attempt away. Very nice rotation here from TiltedBoys, handing over a free duel victory to Ush. Going to feel very, very nice for the LC as well. TiltedBoys now, I believe, have a blink on the way for their LC. And that means they can continue the aggression if they do want. You've got the surprise blink reveal coming out from Ush. Maybe just wait for the duel to be back up in 35 seconds. But once it is up, I feel like you certainly just want to go.
Just start running down. You have the openings, you have the initiation you need on the side of TiltedBoys. And again, the pick-off game is where TiltedBoys shines. While Wildcard's trying to farm up, work the map, leaving these exposed cores like the Magnus. It's just easy pickings right now for the side of TiltedBoys. 6-8, less than 1k lead coming out for the side of TiltedBoys now. And this blink for Ush, this should be, again, the launching point for a lot of that aggression. Because if you are TiltedBoys, there is some pressure to play a little bit faster. Even with the morph being the be-all, end-all, the team fight of Wildcard just scales a lot better. So you kind of want to press that advantage in terms of damage, in terms of how you position on the map early on here. Not quite clumping around the blink just yet. Duel is off cooldown for Ush. Eventually, once they start playing around the LC, that's where things can get scary for Wildcard. Wildcard, for their part, RCY, he's got the Octarine up. So a lot more spells to spam in the middle of these fights. The levels are starting to rack up on our Invoker as well, with the Midas being utilized. Level 13 about to be approached here. So more output from every single spell. But you've got the early BKB being queued up by Volodka, and that's one way to kind of mitigate the impact of this Invoker up against a Wind Ranger. Just spell immune to you. And that should be enough to ride you to the point where you start to pick up your talents. You start to get that, you start to approach level 25 where Wind Run isn't going to be dispellable. And that's where things can get a little bit dicey in terms of trying to handle that Wind Ranger.
Vodka, Rodovaitos is going to land onto the Phoenix and Sunlight. Going to barely avoid the arrow. Don't think they were going to go for the dive anyway, though, so not too big of a deal. Really concerning seeing how much further behind Sammy Boy is getting here on the net worth board, John. Still a 7.9k, almost 3k behind Ferte. And TiltedBoys, they know it. They've smoked up, or rather just popped the Moonlight Shadow. Problem is, that they gave mines to flee, so he's placed those around and he's getting a lot of information for his team. So now they definitely know the Moonlight Shadow was popped and it is going to wear off. This amounts to absolutely nothing here for TiltedBoys. It still seems like Wildcard are not interested in trying to force any fights at the moment. TiltedBoys have smoked up, but they run right back into the mines. So again, very obvious that this is a smoke happening from their end of things. And I mean, Sammy was nearby, but it doesn't seem like they can really connect to the eastern side of the map and, you know, be able to actually secure the Drow. So instead, they'll start pressuring the mid-tier 1 tower. There will be a defense to come out though from Wildcard. The Wildcard showing up here, gets tornadoed up. Meanwhile, Jewel has been committed. Ash trying to finish off RCY, but a big RP coming from Monster, landing on 2. They've lost both Ash and Ferte in all this. There's now Volodka gonna get chased down. The Wind Ranger, pretty big trouble for him, but with the Wind Run, he might just make it. Monster trying to chase, lands the shockwave into the gush, or rather the gust from Sammy. And Wildcard, they suddenly find 4th of their trouble off the back of a beautiful RP.
Again, it's just down to this timing. It's down to how TiltedBoys found their success. Their success has been in pickoffs. Like every single time they found these big kills, it's Monster being isolated, it's Sammy just kind of being on his own. Once the clump up comes in from Wildcard, just RP, the egg coming down. The Phoenix Spirit Slows are really good in mitigating that dual output. So you can't press the attack early on. You can't press the attack once you commit the duel. So you've got a lot of good answers on Wildcard, and TiltedBoys has to be cautious when it comes up to the clump up. Your teamfight presence is just not that big. You need to find a pickoff. You need to find a numbers advantage first before any of these wider fights spread out. Otherwise, you're just going to be in a lot of trouble.
Mid-tier 1 tower is going to go down here. So regardless of the lost team fight, TiltedBoys do come back in to clear up that tier 1. Knowing the RP was down, they knew they could go for that quite easily. Some pretty bad news, like dropping the team fight like that is going to feel pretty horrendous here for TiltedBoys, I'm sure. And now, suddenly 6k behind in net worth and giving so much gold. Back the way of Sammy, who was struggling so much to try and keep up with the net worth of this Morphling. Now only about 500 gold behind. Pretty big comeback situation here from Wildcard. Just managed to kind of escalate that net worth lead. And TiltedBoys, they've got to kind of take a back seat now, it feels like, and buy themselves some more time to have the Ags up on Ferte. Mind you, though, as we saw last team fight, like if he cops the RP, it does not take them long to burst him down. Especially if he doesn't hit the strength morph in time. Like, it's just happens so quickly. So Ferte, like, Ags or not, you cannot afford to get caught initially like that.
No, it's just too much control, too much output, especially with the Invoker stacking spells on top of that RP. You still hit a really good stride for Ferte with the Ags. I'm wondering what his priority will be. Again, Sammy's a pretty good target just because 20% stat steal is still big and 70 attack speed is massive to take away from the Drow. We'll see. It's Wildcard this time going out for the smoke play. They do have RP and egg ready.
Shadows take us.
Mid lane, Ash. They did see him there for a moment. He's in the Moonlight Shadow right now, but they'll place a sentry ward preemptively, just hoping he walks in. And Ash, he does show up for a moment, but immediately blinks out. Yule Scepter is going to land, however. Ash still in trouble. Monster's got the harpoon and the skewer back here on the LC. So that'll be Ash going down. But Roshan has started. So yeah, you lose the LC, but it's all a bit of a distraction because Roshan is happening here for TiltedBoys, and they are going to get away with this one for free. Nice and easy.
Just a little bit late for Wildcard to jump into that one, as they also back off and allow Ferte to head up top to farm. Ag's fully up and running on the morph. So again, you've got some good fight play. You've got some good openings for TiltedBoys to try to find, but you need the pickoffs to really start to shine. Wildcard, as long as they stay clumped up like this, it's just hard to see an angle for TiltedBoys to take. Like Blink Duel, if it's not in Phoenix, then the Sunray, The fire spirits are going to be really annoying. We've always got a way of stopping just that instant burst onto 1 from coming in. The RP and egg combination is still pretty scary from Wildcard. And RCY with his combinations on top of that RP can be pretty annoying to deal with as well. So we'll see. Like, I think TiltedBoys, for their part, probably need a little bit more to come out on Volodka more than anything else. Like the Gleipnir, having this AoE setup of your own starts to make these fights maybe a little bit more manageable for the side of TiltedBoys, and that Gleipnir timing is going to be a big one to allow him to increase his DPS as well. So let's see if Volodka is given the time to build up there. TiltedBoys themselves. Oh.
We're going to move in. They have found Skyward here on the techies. Skyward not going to be able to get the blast off to try and make a gap between them. I mean, even with the Aegis up on TiltedBoys, it seems like Wildcards are the ones that still want to try and go fight. This is fair enough, because they are the much stronger team at the moment with the 6k advantage. I'm sure Verte is finding heaps of farms still in the Morphling, but he's really the only one. As soon as he's gone from the team fight, you just suddenly lose 14k net worth on your side of things. And well, Verte right now is being watched by Wildcard. He's going to be able to wave form away in time, though, so they won't have the opportunity to try and chase him down.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, I mean, it's always funny to watch a team that does not have the Aegis just running towards a team that does. The TiltedBoys are just going to continue retreating, and even with the Ags up on Verte, it doesn't seem like they're quite ready to try and smoke up and fight with this Aegis.
No, just a little bit harder. I mean, you need the pickoffs. You don't have the forward vision here from the side of TiltedBoys to try to look for those pickoffs as well. And Wildcard just, for the most part, staying clumped up together. So you don't have any easy targets to just find without any save coming out here from the side of Wildcard. TiltedBoys start to clump up and head top. They've got the smoke now. See if they find something.
Radiant are scanning.
Smoke on smoke scenario between these two teams. Wildcard actually getting wrapped around on here by TiltedBoys. They're going to have a high ground advantage, though, because they do hang around in that radiant triangle now, and Verte is jumping right into them. This could be a real big problem. Sammy, though, he's the first one to get spotted, so he gets jeweled up here, but a nice tornado going to buy him a bit of time, but it's not quite enough. Sammy is down, so they do find a great RP. He has got 3 targets within that. Skewer back as well. The egg, however, it is not going to last. And Wildcard, without their Drow Ranger, are not going to have the follow-up damage to be able to win out this team fight. As it's going to be TiltedBoys pulling off the victory here, even finding RCY on the Evoker. And that'll be 4 down for Wildcard, as Flea is the only one to walk away from this. TiltedBoys suddenly closing that net worth gap just down to 1k. Hell, they don't even lose the Aegis and all that.
Yeah, you're just free. No punishment coming out from Wildcard. The team fight not breaking out the way they'd want to. Like the egg just being so close to the area of the fight. The tornado save was there to stop the duel, but still not enough to really prevent that downfall of Sammy Boy. And that's again the shining point for TiltedBoys. If they manage to break up these fights, break up the way the side of Wildcard uses their spells, ensure that the connections aren't there with the RP and the egg, then you still are in a world of hurt for Wildcard. Like, these team fights have to line up perfectly from their side. They need to be able to execute with his AoE control. Doesn't come out there. Sammy not reacting fast enough to get the gust off and just dies. It has to really be careful. I mean, he's protected by the Lincolns, but they've got a lot of ways to pop it. They pop it easily in the last one, getting the duel off. For the side of TiltedBoys now, you don't have much to wait for. You can easily dig into the high ground. There is still teamfight plays, still a decent high ground hold potential from Wildcard with RP Egg, but it's looking pretty rough. Like, for their part, their movement hasn't been lining up. The impact of Sammy's been negligible, to say the least. And they just need a lot more time to get this drought to the point where it can be an actual threat in these engagements.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a very popular hero in this patch for a reason. The Drow Ranger. I mean, to be fair, like, Sammy certainly did not react to seeing the Morphling, so can't quite just blame the Drow for that one, but Verte is just looking like a much stronger Morphling at the moment than say Sammy Boy's Drow, and Well, Tilted Boys, I mean, looking really good. Like, this matchup is very close between the two, which is not something I was quite expecting. But they've actually got a very slight net worth advantage, and 30 minutes in, win probability is actually 62% their way, so pretty good game thus far for Tilted Boys. It's actually their game to throw now, ironically enough, so a Wildcard are the ones that need to try and find a way back into this game one. You see Monster and RCY hanging around down to the bot lane, just hoping that somebody does go down to the low ground and give this an opportunity for a skewer back, but that's not going to happen. Still just split pushing the lanes is mid lane. Skyward, nice little TP out of the tree line, is not going to get scouted here by Wildcard. He will be able to get out just fine, and I kind of doubt we're going to see a team fight anytime soon, I'll be honest, John, because, I mean, if you're Wildcard, like, you're just looking to split push lanes and drag out the game more for Sammy to actually have a chance to get some farm going. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they'll do, is you see the bottom lane just constantly pushed out. Just the classic gameplay, just one thing that never changed in the new patch is just the fact that you fall behind, you split push lanes. That's what you do. Job never changes.
Yeah, you work the jungle, you try to catch up, try to prevent any movement onto the high ground, and managed to do that quite well here on Wildcard. You have the full Scotty up for Sammy, so a few more stats to play with, a lot more HP, and the healing reduction going to feel really nice up against Morph if you can find the angle in. Ferretedo already has a Satanic. Along with Matha, he's got a lot of self-dispel on hand. Wildcard trying out for another smoke play here.
That they are. I'll run into door. The door is backing off at the right moment, though. To be fair, he wouldn't mind tanking the gank for the team. Oh, Ferrete's a much bigger kill, and they see him. Pings are out. RP immediately onto the Morphling. He did get Strength Morph off in time, but it may not matter. There's still a waveform. It's going to be quite nice. Now they'll focus the egg down. A big blast up from Skyward, landing on two heroes. Looks like they'll even find Monster on the mag, as they just did not have enough damage to finish off the initial Morphling kill. Sammy, he is going to be left behind, trying to at least finish off door, but it is not going to happen. Volodka with a triple kill on the Morphling. And another terrible type fight for Wildcard. They get wiped with Forjon. They don't even find the initial pickoff. Like, Ferrete just survives through all of this.
Now, Ferrete just managed to get off the strength gain in the end, and that's more than enough durability. Again, for Wildcard, they had the right idea. Just try to get the instant lock-in on the Morphlin, take care of that hero ASAP, but the damage output wasn't there. The egg, again, in a very awkward position. They couldn't save it. The response was out from Tilted Boys to melt that egg. And your presence here for Wildcard, it's just not there. You're going to need way more items to be up, especially in RCY. I mean, he's got a lot of defense, but Lincoln's still needs the full BKB. Wants the Hex as well for additional control. But I'd say this is a pretty solid Ags game for the Invoker if you can pick it up. It's so much farm that you need to keep finding here. And you're running out of map space with Tilted Boys just taking over. They get the free shard for their LC off the Tormentor on the Dire side. So you've got a lot more presence as well. With the overwhelming odds with the armor, it's going to be even more durability coming out here for the side of Tilted Boys. And for Wildcard, this game is starting to slip away. You'd expect a little bit more coming out from these team fights, but they're not able to get the initiation they'd want, and on the side of Tilted Boys, just way too durable. Ferreto's just done an amazing job on that Morphling.
Gosh, top lane. Big pick off here if they do catch him. RP committed immediately onto the LC. I mean, he's kind of a big boy. They will eventually get through him. Something they desperately needed, but the problem is, while that was happening, Roshan is also happening for Tilted Boys, and this is the exact same scenario as last time. Like, they catch an LC, but they miss out on the Roshan. So no fight to come out here from Wildcard for this Roshan attempt, and the Tilted Boys, yeah, they give up an LC, but they were happy about it last time, and I'm sure they'll be happy about it now.
Yeah. No worries about that. You get the secondary life up and running on Ferrete. You've got the cheese for Volodka to play with. So you're pretty set for something like a fight leading into the high ground now. No outer objectives to worry about here to take away from Wildcard. Wildcard, for their part, they've got Lincolns up and running on Monster. You can kind of just set that onto whoever the duel priority is, which should be Sammy Boy. Just have some protection for the duel coming in now. Double Lincolns, at least stack up there. The side of Wildcard can 7k behind. Pretty awkward position. They're playing poke just a tad bit. The support's down mid.
Well, damage rune going to be picked up here by Wildcard. That's going to be a very nice rune for him. They are going to group up and maybe force a smoke here from TiltedBoys. Or maybe not. Maybe just run as 4 to strengthen numbers here as they do draw out a line towards the bottom lane. Darcy Y was spotted there for a moment underneath an observer ward of the Radiant.
Radiant are scanning.
The smoke popped on 2. RCY going to TP out at the right time. Monster at the bottom right corner of the map, but highly doubt he gets caught out here on the tech on the Magnus. He should be fine. So he will TP out as well, just before anyone gets anywhere near him. Side lanes, Jonathan. You just keep pushing out the damn side lanes and buy more and more time if you are Wildcard. But to be fair, the more time that goes on, the more time Ferte is finding his own farm. But there does come a stage in the game where net worth just doesn't feel like it matters anymore, to be fair. And you might be getting to that stage of the game pretty soon. Sammy going for an Aghanim Scepter build up now. Already has a Skadi to deal with the Morphling. So, TiltedBoys, you might start really thinking about going high ground very, very soon, because there's only so long you wanna deal with the split pushing here from Wildcard. Of course, the Aegis is eventually going to expire if you never get to the high ground. And we'll see it now. Top lane, they are going to go through the tier 3 tower quite quickly here. Once the creeps are around, and there they are. Glyph is forced out by Wildcard, and they are going to be around to try and defend this. Lift is there onto the Morphling. Ferte, though, going to be just healed up here by Ush and does back off successfully. Still has plenty of time on the Aegis, though, so we'll go back in, of course. This Monster, Harpoon, Skewer back is out. Tier 4 towers now attacking the Morphling, but Ferte again just going to waveform away safely as they did not lock him down.
Radiant's middle tower is under
For Wildcard, I think as long as they hold on to this this tier 3 tower, they're going to be pretty happy. I don't think they necessarily wanted the big team fight to break out anyway. And now they've got the Ags up on the draw, so perhaps it's time to smoke up and try to make something happen with the hypothermia available.
Going to be even more healing reduction to deal with Morphling. A lot of good solutions on hand for the side of Wildcard, but they have to be careful. The vision that's still here on the cliff could provide an opening for the side of TiltedBoys. You see Sammy, they're just instantly collapsing onto that area. You might see RCY as well with a good sentry from Skyward. Not going to nail it, though.
They will not catch him. I see why down to the bottom lane. Like, he might get caught here if he's not too careful. Chaos Media are going to make it pretty obvious he is around. We'll realize though that Ush is chasing him, so he's going to Ghost Walk and does have a TP available if he does want to just pop it. The rest of Wildcard still hanging around on the high ground, basically just letting Sammy take over the northern side of that jungle here on the dire end. TiltedBoys, I mean, it's going to be kind of annoying that you just can't get a high ground attempt going as the Morph. It's kind of the position you're in right now, though, and I think they're running out of time. Like, this age is going to expire in 35 seconds. Doesn't seem like there's going to be enough time for them to group up and really make the push happen, so obviously you'd probably rather not wait for the next Roshan if you can avoid it, but you might be in that scenario as TiltedBoys where you are forced to just wait for next Rosh before you try high ground again.
Just have to be patient. Have to wait for that opening to come out. You're still farming up well anyway. You know, you're scaling up in the Morph. You're starting to scale up on everyone else. You've got farm parity across every core. Beyond a Morphling being ahead for everyone. So you have some good solutions there. Hex is up for RCY. The Sheepstick is ready. Again, another piece of pivotal control for Ferte. He doesn't have anything like the Lincolns on hand here. So we'll have some lock-in outside of just the RP. But how close RCY can get to use that site is another question. I think it's really risky. If you you have your Invoker stand that close. We might see it soon, though.
Wash. In top lane, he's got his teammates around, but there is going to be a big smoke up here from Wildcard trying to connect to the top lane and join the rest of the team. A BKB now up and available here on Ferte. So even more defensive capability for the Morph. It's Wildcard. They're going to hold this high ground around their outpost, but taking the outpost does mean that TiltedBoys know exactly where they are. So Moonlight Shadow was popped here from TiltedBoys, trying to get within range to start a big team fight. Monster might actually have his smoke broken and does break it onto Ferte, but he's the one to back off. They thought the Magnus was chasing them down, but in reality, Monster had no idea they were there. And so a bit of a missed opportunity because you could have had the Magnus kill.
Could have had something big to open up the high ground. Miss out on an opportunity, but it's also a bit of a risk. Like if that fight goes southwards for TiltedBoys, that's Wildcard coming back into the game as well.
Oh, skill back. They've got the Mirana. Door is gone. It happens that quickly if you get skilled.
It's a lot of money and a good gem to pick up as well. So you're more than happy to find a free pick-off like that. And TiltedBoys, this could lead to them just posturing for Roshan a minute away until we see that respawn timer, but for Wildcard, that's a lot of gold. You had a 444 kill plus 668 shared. It's a lot to bounce back in when you're like 10k behind. Equalizing just a little bit here for the side of Wildcard, and that is the Hex reveal now from RCY as well. So you should be able to kind of prep for it here on the side of TiltedBoys still. Wildcard moving forward, Ninja Gear for Monster scouting around.
Bottom lane. TB there, just casually waiting here. I did hear an RP, didn't I? It was used up. Whoopsie daisies.
Monster.
Skyward, blast off his... Oh boy, they found the drow immediately. That's Sammy gone. Monster now getting caught as well. Is going to end up going down, and Flea is just going to try and escape here, but they've got the stun. What was that RP? Because he was smoked up, wasn't he? Did he RP an illusion?
He was... Maybe, but he was under Ninja Gear the entire time. I figured he wouldn't in any
you would know.
RP. Yeah. It's a little bit strange. Probably just the illusion, trying to jump the gun and catching a morphing illusion out. Get punished for it. It happens, and now you've got a little bit of an opening for the side of TiltedBoys. They tried to chase down RCY, not able to really lock in the Invoker, but Roche is a quick respawn. If you're going to have it down south, just need to kind of collapse into that area. They could opt for the high ground instead. There are still buybacks in Wildcard if things do get that bad, but they won't quite. They'll shove in the lanes. Probably just work their way onto that Roche door already in position here.
Dire's middle tower is under
Wildcard, I mean, after taking a nice pick off in Mirana, just lose it on... Yeah, they'll just start high ground. No need to wait for the Roche here.
Sunlight. He's getting soloed here by Door, and yeah, he's gone. Ouch. RCY is going to show up with the side device, but bottom racks is being taken as we speak, so... I mean, sure, you can try to secure this kill on the Mirana, but look at the amount of time that TiltedBoys have to just take the racks off Wildcard. Second racks is being taken right now by TiltedBoys, and there's just no reaction to it. Now Sammy Boy does respawn up, to be fair, but they've already lost 2 lane of barracks. TiltedBoys, they'll happily retreat knowing Roshan is available. No need to stick around. Just go straight for the Roshan instead and just come back later. In fact, they'll go for a Tormentor first. Door.
Okay.
Oopsie daisies. Ferte just going in and just killing off his support for no reason.
Why not? You can afford to. Send a message, show them who's the real boss, who dictates who lives and dies in this game, even for his teammates. It's Ferte. We'll go into the Roche, but now Wildcard have an angle in. RP's ready for Monster if he manages to land it this time.
Yeah, nice RP here from Monster, catching 2 of them. Chaos Meteor down as well, doing a lot of damage, but they are still surviving for now as another skewer is there, this time from Ferte. They have got Skyward down at the least. Ash dropping low, but gets a dual victory before he does go down, and now Sammy has been used up. Still trying to run with the gust committed, but Skyward takes him down with the blast off. RCY also in trouble, will drop. Again, Roshan is well and truly available. So Tilted Boys can move in and go for a free Roche for themselves. And sadly, Wildcard, they can do nothing about it anymore. It is gone.
Yep. Free Ags out now for Volodka as well. You should be able to pass that on to Ush. So now, no way to interrupt the duels, no way to stop just that single target lockdown from coming in. Like, the idea from Flea to go into that Wind Waker is nice, but it's just not enough time in the air to save you from that lockdown. And, well, Wildcard, no RP for this defense, no egg, no teamfight combination to deal with these two lives. So the boys, they'll probably just find Mega Creeps and onto the tier 4s. Wildcard need to rely on maybe just a massive skewer back to find an opening here. And Tilted Boys just looking great. Like, they play this pick-off game, they lose some momentum maybe around the 20-minute mark, but they just kick it into gear once more, forcing Wildcard into some really bad fights.
Mid-tier 4's now under siege. I mean, Sammy's down for another 23 seconds, though a nice skewer back here from Monster right by the fountain. Is it going to actually be enough? No, it's not. He's actually going to survive with the Strength Morph. He's just not going to drop. This Monster is down. It was a nice attempt. They could try again, and they are going to probably do so. His door being chased down should go down to the Yule Scepter. Sunstrike, no, that's actually not going to land, but Door is still being chased here by Monster and is eventually going to drop. This Wildcard is still trying to fight back. Ferrete will just force staff away. Sammy's still chasing him down, but Ferrete just pops the BKB, now going right after Sammy. RP committed to the Morphling, but Ash is dueling up the Drow Ranger, not allowing the follow-up damage. So the Drow just in huge trouble as Ash just focusing down Sammy, has got the kill. Monster has to get out of there. So do the rest of them as Wildcard are slowly falling apart here in this game 1. Even RCY looking to go down before this game is officially called. And there you go. He is down as GG is finally called by Sunlight. And that is a victory I was not quite expecting here, Jonathan. But Tilted Boys, they'll get so far the first game off the side of one.